Hi, preamps, power amps. What makes the difference? What's the biggest player? What are the sound differences in these things? Welcome, my name's Kelvin. I've been away, I'm back. If anyone's wondering where I've been, but I'm back now. Okay, let's go into detail in this tricky subject, really. You'll find people really have different opinions. In my hi-fi friends have different opinions on this. I would say it's about the experiences they've had. We'll go into detail about that in a minute. Let's do an analogy with a car. The power amp is the engine, the preamp is the chassis, the gearbox, the tires, say. It's not a bad analogy if you're, to get you going, if you're not knowledgeable on this thing. The other thing to know, of course, if you don't know, is the preamp, which is these two, both preamps, pre the amplifier, before the amplifier. That's the power amplifier. So the preamp takes the signal in. You might see it as a very basic thing, It's just a volume knob which is sending CD, tuner, whatever you want, to different places. It's a control box, but it is actually more than that, because when I found out a long time ago what a preamp was, I thought to myself, well, can't we just have a volume knob? Wouldn't that be a better thing to do, and it wouldn't cost much money? Why do I need this preamp? What's going on? Well, there's more to what a preamp does with the sound that comes in and the sound it sends to that power amplifier than just being a volume knob, because there's subtleties. It can make the sound, it's going to manipulate the whole sound stage and all the details. All these preamps sound different. It's quite subtle, but in the long term it really plays out, so though I'm playing it down, a good preamp can make your system and you can love it, and a naff preamp can flatten it out and make everything boring, because everything's going through that. And I've experienced this, So, okay, let's also say you're in the world of preamps, power amps. You're in the high-end world, So if you're a beginner and you're thinking, maybe I'll buy an £800 preamp and it will change everything massively and my system is okay, that's probably not the way to think about it. It is in the world of diminishing returns, quite frankly. I always think of preamps as sort of the most money you're going to spend for a smaller difference. But if it's right, it can really be great, because they meddle with the subtleties, and it can be magic. They absolutely can be magic. Let me do this. I've been listening to about 5 different preamps over the last few days, and a few power amps, that and a Quad Elite. And I've also been messing around with some of my old vintage stuff that has pre-power separation. So you can mess around with that if you've got that on the back of your amp. But what do we have? That's an Accuphase. That's a rated company. That's it's a high-end bit of kit. And this is a fairly bog standard Rotel from the 80s. This is late 80s. Now, if you were to be here and I did an A/B comparison for you between that and that, your initial thoughts would be, there's not a great big difference. Not a great big difference. Not a great big obvious big load of bass, massively clearer mid-range. It's not like that, unless maybe you spent £5,000 on a preamp. Then I hope you would get something incredible. But certainly, even because these are quite far apart in the quality stakes, really, there are differences, and this is a superior thing to this. But it's all the detail, it's all the subtleties, the detail. It's the vocals, say for instance on this, you're just well, you like them, you have no criticism. The bass goes down just a little bit lower, just a bit more definition in there. And this is a bit weak, you would say, or not great in the middle. It's okay bass wise and top end. But really what's going on is it's how a preamp is manipulating the sound stage, how it's giving the sound to this power amp. And it's like every little bit of it is changed a bit. You see, this is the thing I want to say. Every little aspect of sound has changed a tiny bit. So, you know, a great preamp can be magical. And I mean, I wouldn't say this is a bad one. There are bad ones. But let's talk about power amps. That difference in power amps, it's more basic and bigger. So if I change this, for say I've got a big old quad 520F, I would suddenly have a load more bass, and I do mean a load more bass because that thing is really bassy. But it wouldn't be messing. It'd be like changing the sound in chunks, in large areas, and not the fine detail that makes it either magic, beautiful, sweet sounding, you know, I don't know, spacious. That kind of thing is what the preamp does. Yeah. I mean, say for instance, if you don't know, if you want to do something dramatic, you know, get a valve preamp. Now that will turn your sound into a different animal, because valves are, you know, they just sound different, more airy, more spacious, blah blah blah. And a valve preamp is a great idea. So you know, that's was one thing. If you're looking to try something, a valve preamp is really quite a game changer. But I think, I don't know, maybe that's it. You know, the power amp is basically, it's giving you the big areas of bass, mid and top end, and these preamps, of which there are many, they're just messing with the finer points of everything. Yeah, okay. It's tricky, this subject. It is a tricky one. And it's harder than I thought when I started talking about this. I thought it'd be easy, but it's got harder and harder. Anyway, that's it. Thanks. Bye for now.